Hello everyone, I haven't done one of these in the car talking to the camera videos in a very long time. If you look at my YouTube channel, I have tons of these in the other car, which I haven't had for 4 years or so. But anyway, talking to you guys now, and something came up today that I wanted to share. And it actually deals with investment. I've always wanted to chat with you guys about how I, just a regular public school English teacher, manages to do some investing. And it looks like in the next couple of years, things should pan out. But even if they don't, the learning process is great. And there's some money on the table no matter what, which is really good. But I was and have been looking into investing in businesses and development and real estate, kind of just feeling out bits of information and going through various podcasts and YouTube videos and websites. And I've been looking at Paraguay, that's country number 1, and Colombia, country number 2. So I'm listening to a really good podcast on people from Colombia, and it's somewhat of a sales pitch. This is direct, right? They're not trying to hide it. They're not being deceitful. Expat Money himself, Mikel, the guy who runs that outfit, has people talking about Colombia. And the focus of the podcast is the Pablo Escobar era, which was now 40 years ago, something like that. And the businessman that they had speaking, and he runs a family office that helps people migrate, start business, get residency, track down real estate, shepherd people through all of those processes. He said something interesting that I really liked. And what he said was that the Pablo Escobar story that scares many people off. There are people still today, even though the Escobar thing is long finished, and Colombia is completely different from those days, and has been for a while. He said he doesn't mind the Pablo Escobar taint, the Pablo Escobar poisoning of the well, per se. And he mentioned that he actually kind of liked it. And that caught people by surprise, because what he said was it keeps the closed-minded people out. And now that makes a lot of sense, because one of the things that I've talked with, I have 3 very small upperclassmen classes, and they're populated with independent-minded people. And so we've been covering things of late, the Cameron Willingham death penalty case from 20 years ago. We've looked at things like media hoaxes and miscreants in the corporate media peddling nonsense and effectively lying to get what they want and kowtowing to big powers, all kinds of stuff, all the usual stuff that every student of mine, former, current, knows that I do. And I told them, because they've been frustrated at times because of the things that we've seen, and I told them that the world is navigable, everything's going to be fine, but the idea that someone would be reticent or stay away from, reticent is really the wrong word, somebody would be hesitant, to look into Colombia or stay away from it because of the Pablo Escobar cocaine trafficking cartel from the 80s and the 90s is ridiculous. It doesn't take but 5 minutes to look into, maybe 10 minutes to look into that and see that those days are over. Now, if you don't want to go to Colombia, then you wouldn't be looking into it anyway. Who cares? But people are guided by how they feel. They're guided by a Netflix documentary, and the Netflix documentary on the Escobar, I don't even know if it's a documentary. There's a Netflix series, and it's good, on the Escobar thing. conveniently leaves out the 3-letter agencies in the United States that kind of help that along, but that's another conversation. But to use something like that and how it makes you feel to make big decisions. Let's say you wanted to see Colombia and you really had people telling you about it. You're like, no, I'm not going to do that because of the cocaine stuff. That's a small-minded person. They're either lazy, they don't want to do the research, or they are closed-minded and they can't get past their own thoughts and feelings. And my point with the independent-minded students of today is really simple. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people who are able to maybe say something like, hey, wait a minute. There's a community in Colombia. There are people there, cities with millions of people. There are pictures on the internet. You can see social media from those places. There are things that, like the way I talk. I've been to Medellin, Colombia. It was fantastic. And an open-minded person would be thinking, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? Why am I being told, or why do I have this predisposition to think that this place is bad for whatever reason? It doesn't necessarily have to be Colombia. It could be somewhere else. Why is it different? What am I missing? What do I not know that I need to know that got you thinking about a place like Medellin, Colombia, or Asunción, Paraguay, or Panama City, Panama? And if you can do that, there are a lot of, Owen Benjamin's book I reviewed on my Substack site, How to Slay a Wizard, and there are a lot of currencies with which to deal in this world. One of them, of course, is fiat currency, paper, cash, and digits on a screen, which eventually will have no value. Gold and silver, which I've always been a big fan of and talked about. But there's also currencies of goodwill, good feeling, surrounding yourself with open-minded people. Being one of those people, that's currency. It's do you have a lot of that? Do you have a lot of open-mindedness? Are you really able to ask me, as a student did a few months ago, why do you think what you do about global warming? She was very curious as to why, and I stated my case. I laid it out. One student was kind of with me, the other one not so much, and we had a great discussion. And that was a room filled, not with $100 bills, I'm sorry to say, or gold coins, I'm even sorrier to say, but filled with the currency of open-mindedness and thought. And one of those students the other day said, you're enjoyable to speak with. Now, am I tooting my own horn? Maybe, but I'm not the only person like this on staff. We have a good staff at Mount Vernon High School. There are a couple of other people who, and as teachers know, students talk about you behind your back. And I've had other teachers mentioned doing the same thing. It's great. That is a currency, and it's valuable, and it has a place. And that's really one of the things that your children should be getting in their schooling. And if you are not an open-minded person, maybe it's time to ask some questions. That follow-up question, again, that Owen Benjamin mentioned, the follow-up questions, and that first follow-up question can be very valuable. It holds a lot of power, holds a lot of currency, holds a lot of electricity. If I know or think I know about a place, let's use Medellin as our final example, and I'm told that it's filled with, or was filled with, or maybe still is filled with drug cartels and is dangerous and I don't want to get rolled in the alley, then why are you thinking about it to invest? Or why are there massive numbers of tourist sites related to the city? How is it that there are dozens of firms that will shepherd you through the residency process? That's a really good follow-up question. And then a like-minded person will be like, well, here's what I know. Here's what I found, and here's where I found it. And that's the discourse, that's the great conversation as we try to drill down to find the truth. Because you can't be fast and loose with the truth or the science or any of these things. You need to be careful. And that's that's a great thing to have as a philosophy. And I've found it useful to not only try to educate myself and be that way myself, but to impart that philosophy with students. And it's taken many years to get there. And the craft of instruction can be difficult and trying at times, but this is the path that we're on, and this is the path that I'm holding to. And I'll talk to you next time here at The Freelance Teacher, TFT, and check the Substack link in the description. Thank you.